So there's a series of questions that, we have a lot of forums, Buddhist forums. And inside the Buddhist forum, questions were asked about Buddhism and then some part of meditation. But the answer was like very in general. And during meditation retreat, only practical was applied. Practical practice. So I want to know more how to blend the practical and the day-to-day life. It's not only for me. I think it's good for everyone. That's why I open it up so that everyone can share. Because we have in Buddhism we have three practices. There is pariyatti, patipatti, pativeda. That means scriptural, meditation, and how to do it in our day-to-day life, even for monks and also for lay devotees. So I have a series of few questions, because I read a lot of books, a lot of notes, a lot of articles. A lot of them have give answer, very different answer. So I also have tried my best to attend to Bhante's sutta class, but because there's a lot of commitment that I have to do, so I can't attend. So I think this is one of the few questions that I have in my mind that I need to ask Bhante. So maybe Bhante can help, and then Bhante can enlighten us with your wisdom. So we started with what is meditation. Can Bhante enlighten us? Because I wanted in two forms: academic, practical, and how to bend it in day-to-day life. Because in forum we only know about general concept about meditation. So how, and then in meditation we only know about how to apply it in meditation. How about in day-to-day life? How we do it?
That is a good question. Now, when we talk about meditation, we must think about the people who are listening, or the people who are questioning, the level of the people. There are people at different levels. So I see people at 4 main levels. And these 4 main levels are, first is what I call the Saddha level. Now the Saddha level is what is commonly called the devotional level. That means their devotion means they are devoted to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. These are the Buddhists. So Buddhists are at these 4 levels. The first level is the devotional level. Now at this level, they are not very mature. And I will first give the 4 levels. The first is the devotional. Then the second level is the behavioral level. That means they are thinking in terms of what is good behavior and what is bad behavior. In other words, we are talking about people who are trying to practice the 5 precepts. And so their main thing about being a Buddhist is the practice of the precepts. They are trying to discipline their behavior. That's the main thing about being a Buddhist for those people. Then there is another level, that is what I call the Samadhi level. This is the level when people want to purify the mind and calm the mind. So purity and calmness is the same. That is the Samadhi level. Then the fourth level is what I call the Panya level. The Panya level is the level where you begin to understand the problem of life, which is really coming in the form of what are normally called the Four Noble Truths, which I call the fourfold supernormal reality. The fourfold supernormal reality. So that is the understanding of the Dhamma, real, a complete, deeper understanding of the Dhamma. Now when we talk about meditation, I would say that all these four levels we can meditate. Now when we are meditating, say, at the devotional level, Saddha level, the main meditation is to meditate on the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. So we have this common Pali stanza that we recite, Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjacharana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarthi Satta Deva Manussanam Buddho Bhagavati. Now that is about the Buddha. Then we also meditate about the Dhamma. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehi Passiko Opanaiko Pachattang Veditabbo Vinyohiti. Then we also meditate on the Sangha. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Nyāyapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sāmici Patipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Addan Chattari Purusayugani Atta Purusa Puggala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Āhuneyo Pāhuneyo Dakkineyo Anjani Karaniyo Anuttaram Punyakirtan Lokasati. These are statements which, if we understand the meaning of that properly and begin to think about it, that itself becomes a meditation. Because in the meditation, what we are really doing is, we are thinking good thoughts. So the best thoughts to think of is to think of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. And by thinking of good thoughts, we purify the mind. We free the mind of bad thoughts because we are thinking only good thoughts. So if we can spend the whole day thinking only about the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, we are purifying the mind to a great level. And if we can't do it the whole day, at least if we do it maybe about 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening, and 20 minutes even midday, that is also something good. So everything depends on the amount of time people can devote for this meditation. But that is just the beginner's level. So when we go beyond that, if we go to the behavior level, I think the best kind of meditation is, in addition to thinking about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, we can mainly think about metta meditation, karuna, mudita and upekkha. And also think about the kusala karma and the akusala karma. There are 10 kusala karmas and 10 akusala karmas. And we think how that is related to the 5 precepts. So, in terms of behavior, the importance of practicing this good behavior, and that is where the mind becomes broadened, where we are not only thinking of ourselves, but we begin to think of all beings. And the important thing is to think in terms of metta, karuna, mudita and upekkha. So metta really is how we broaden our mind to think of all beings, not only about myself, but to think of all beings. And karuna really is the depth dimension. That means how deeply are we interested in the welfare of all beings. That is where we don't make a distinction between oneself and others. That others are as important as ourselves. And that is like the mother thinking of her only child, that the child is as important as herself. So that is the karuna. So when karuna is developed, it turns into mudita. Mudita means when the karuna is properly developed, the I disappears because you are thinking of all beings, not just myself. So the myself part disappears and all unhappiness disappears, because all unhappiness is connected with ourselves. They are all self-centered. So when that self-centered nature disappears, then we become happy as a result. So happiness of selflessness, that is the real mudita. Mudita is the happiness of selflessness, not the happiness that you get by getting things and enjoying things. That is not the kind of happiness here. The happiness of selflessness. Then of course when the mind is happy in this way, that is not an emotional excitement, it is a calm, tranquil state of the mind. And when the mind becomes tranquil, the mind turns inwards and not outwards. The mind is not going out seeking for pleasures. So the mind is not disturbed by the changing conditions or vicissitudes of life, gain and loss, fame and ill fame, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. These things don't disturb the mind because the mind is calm and tranquil and centered within. The happiness is to be found within, not outside. And when the mind is turned within, you gain insight. The word insight means seeing what is inside. And that means your mind is becoming aware not about what we see, but how we see. Now that is becoming aware of the process of perception rather than the object perceived. When we become aware of the process of perception, we begin to realize that what we normally identify as myself is only an impersonal process that is going on, which is the process of perception, which can be divided into what are commonly called the Panchakanda. What the Buddha called the Panchakanda is really the constituents of the process of perception. When that is properly understood, we awaken from the dream of existence. That awakening from the dream of existence is, of course, what we call the real panya, which leads to freedom from all sufferings, and we experience the imperturbable serenity of mind, which is called Nirvana. So in other words, if we practice metta, karuna, mudita and upekka properly, we can attain Nirvana through that itself. That is why in the Karaniya Metta Sutra, there it ends by saying, Dittincha anupagamma dassanena sampannu kamesu vinaya gedang nahijatu gabbaseyang punariyatiti. That statement shows that even through the metta, it is possible to become awakened. So, at least if you practice the metta properly, that will help us to discipline ourselves properly, at least practice the 5 precepts. In other words, the practice of the 5 precepts is not based on the idea of punishment and reward. It is based on metta. So this is important to understand, because most religions, they are trying to discipline people by using the concept of punishment and reward, that God has given rules to obey, and if you obey the rules, you will be taken to heaven, otherwise you will be thrown into hell to suffer. So instead of thinking in those terms, as Buddhists we should be thinking in terms of metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. So that is the meditation at that second level. But when it comes to the third level of meditation, we are thinking of tranquility of mind and purity of mind. And when we talk about the tranquility and purity of mind, we are really talking about samadhi. And samadhi here is mainly the jhanas. The first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. And to attain to those jhanas, the most important thing is to get rid of what are called the 5 hindrances, the obstacles to purity of mind. Kama, chanda, vyapada, thina, midda, uddhacha, kucca, vichikiccha. Now, kama, chanda means the desire for sensual pleasures. Now, sensual pleasure is not only sexual pleasure. Sensual pleasure means pleasing the eyes, pleasing the ears, pleasing the nose, pleasing the tongue, and pleasing the body. So, all this is sensual pleasure. Now, people normally, they go after sensual pleasures. We are born with 5 senses and we begin to experience 3 kinds of sensations: pleasant, unpleasant and neutral. And automatically we are attracted to the pleasant sensation. We are repelled by the unpleasant sensation. And the neutral sensation, of course, we want that to be there, and that's all, because it gives us a feeling of being or existence. And so, because we are automatically attracted to pleasure and repelled by pain, everyone's tendency is to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So it's a natural thing. But what the Buddha points out is that this natural tendency to go after pleasures and avoid pain doesn't make us happy. It makes us unhappy, because we can't get pleasure all the time and we cannot avoid pain all the time. And the pleasures part from us and pains we have to meet. So this will bring us unhappiness, worries, anxieties. And therefore, going after pleasures and trying to avoid pain doesn't bring us happiness. So what the Buddha points out is that true happiness can be gained only by freeing the mind of this desire for pleasure and hatred of pain. And by purifying the mind in this way, we can experience a greater kind of happiness. The tranquility and purity of mind is a greater happiness than the happiness that we derive from sensual pleasures. This is the main thing. So, when we begin to realize this, then we begin to cultivate purity and tranquility of mind. And that is how we begin to enter the first jhana by giving up all the hindrances, and then from there we can gradually eliminate the other factors, what are called the jhanangas, vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha, ekaggata. Now those things gradually fade as we get into the second, the third and the fourth. Now that becomes the real happiness that we can attain, but not what is experienced by the ordinary people who are seeking pleasures and avoiding pain. This is mainly for those who have renounced the pleasures and practicing meditation. Now that is a higher level of practice of the Dhamma, and the kind of meditation that we give at that point is mainly to overcome the 5 hindrances. So, in order to get rid of the desire for sensual pleasures, we have to meditate on what is called the Asubha Bhavana. Mainly thinking of anicca, dukkha and anatta. The anicca is that everything comes and goes, so that we cannot really enjoy pleasures, although we think of enjoying pleasures. And then how unhappiness comes up, and then that there is nothing that we own in the world. Nothing to say this is mine, or even this is myself. So by meditating on these 3 factors, anicca, dukkha and anatta, which I translate as instability, unpleasantness and impersonality. So when these things we meditate on mainly, and there is also what is called the anatomical meditation, thinking of the various parts of the body. These things help us overcome the desire for sensual pleasures. And then for anger and thoughts of hatred, the practice of the metta meditation can be helpful. And then also Tina Midda, which is the laziness and sleepiness, that sort of thing, we can overcome by mainly activity instead of practicing laziness. We become more and more active by doing physical exercises and being active in doing work. And also The other one is mainly what are called worries and anxieties of life. We overcome. For that, very useful to practice the meditation on breathing, anapanasati. Anapanasati can be helpful in doing that. And the next one is what is called vichikicha, usually translated as doubt. I point out that vichikicha is not doubt. Vichikicha is where the mind is divided into two, going in two different directions. Vichikicha. That means we have really two words that refer to two kinds of minds or thoughts. One is called chitta and the other is called mano. Now some people think chitta and mano is the same thing, but what I say is that chitta refers to the emotional nature and mano refers to the thinking, rational part, the intellect and the emotion. So, this is recognized even by modern psychologists, and it was recognized by the Buddha, although some Buddhists don't know about that. That is very unfortunate. And so our mind tends to go in two different directions because of this. The Buddha has even given an analogy to explain this. It is like there are two people. One man is a blind man and the other man is a crippled man who cannot walk. Legs are not working. So these two people get together, become friends, and begin to say, well, the blind man, although the blind man doesn't have eyes to see, he has legs to walk. And that crippled man, his legs are not working, but his eyes are working. So they thought, we'll get together, that the blind man can carry the crippled man over his shoulder, and the crippled man with his eyes can show the way, and so the blind man can walk. So the problem is, when they go like this for some time, the blind man begins to think, well, I am doing all the walking and this man is only showing me which direction to go. Why should I be following this man all the time? I should walk my way, and begins to walk in a different direction. And ultimately they begin to fall into a heap of fire or something like that, and both are burnt. So in a similar way, when people come to the temple, they go to the monks and say, please give me the 5 precepts. So they bow down to the monks and recite the 5 precepts. But when they recite the 5 precepts, they know that it is good to practice the 5 precepts. They are not being dishonest or anything like that. They accept the fact that practicing the 5 precepts is a good thing. But when they go home, maybe the husband quarrels with the wife, or the wife quarrels with the husband, or the parents quarrel with the children, or the children quarrel with the parents, and all the kinds of things are happening. That means the 5 precepts are not being practiced. And the reason, if we begin to see, it was the thinking, reasoning part that took the 5 precepts. And who broke the 5 precepts? It is that emotional part that is breaking the 5 precepts. So that is the real vichikiccha. Vichikiccha means the mind going in 2 different directions, one part seeking one thing, the other part seeking the other. And this problem is recognized by modern psychologists. They call it cognitive dissonance. That is the word that they use. Cognitive dissonance. Of course, cognition means the thinking. But dissonance means that thinking begins to go against each one another, like beginning in 2 parts. That is the meaning of dissonance. It is really coming from the word consonance. Consonance means, sonance means the sound. When 2 sounds don't properly agree, when they are played together, that is called dissonance. But if the 2 sounds agree and form a nice tune, then it is consonance. So here the cognitive dissonance means we are talking about the disagreement in thinking. That the mind divides into 2 and begins to think in 2 different ways. And that is the cognitive dissonance that prevents a person from purifying the mind. That is why it is a hindrance. Now, so one person wants to come and join in our Dhamma discussion, but then another part of the mind says, no, I will do something else or play something or something like that, and then it doesn't happen. Or you say, I must meditate. This time there is a meditation retreat, I must go for the meditation retreat. But then some other problem comes up and thinks, I can't do it because this, and you postpone the whole thing. So that kind of thing is what we call vichikiccha. So it is not doubt, it is something very different from doubt. So, but it prevents people from doing the right things. So these are the hindrances, and these hindrances can be got rid of mainly by thinking about the Dhamma and understanding the Dhamma. So this is the important meditations that we should practice at this level. Now the final level is the Panya level, where meditation goes beyond just the Samadhi. Now that is the real meaning of what is called Vipassana meditation. When we use the word Vipassana, we are really talking about that highest level of meditation. And the problem is, everyone wants to practice Vipassana. That is the biggest mistake that people are making. Everyone can't practice Vipassana because you have to practice these first levels. It depends on the level you are in. So this is why it is very important to find out what level you are in. Are you in the beginner's level, which is the devotional level, or are you in the ethical or behavioral level, or are you in the samadhi level, purity, tranquility level, or are you in the panya level? Everything depends on your level. And so this is why it is very important to find out the level. And so the gurus or the meditation teachers should be aware of these levels before they begin to teach meditation. So I think I have answered your first question for a while, huh?
Actually, when we answer the whole.
You have answered everything.
Yeah, I have about. I have 12 questions. Whenever I have answered the whole. Yeah.
What?
I have 12 questions in this list. The question is, what is meditation? Why should we meditate? Why meditation? Is practicing meditation considered as mental culture or spiritual development, or both? How to practice meditation? How to practice meditation in our day-to-day life? How many meditation methods are there in Buddhism? Can you that one not yet come? How to practice the Four Sublime Method? How to overcome the 5 hindrances within, I think, about 45 minutes. You have, I have covered the whole thing. But the one thing is that how I have some doubts, some question. There's four posture.
Posture.
Yeah. How we practice that?
Well, this is not a matter of posture, because even in the Karaniyamat Sutra, the Buddha says, Tittan charang nisinno sayano va yavatasya vigatamiddo. That means it has to be practiced while standing, while walking, while sitting, while lying down. And it should be practiced throughout the day during your waking life. So meditation, there is no real time for meditation. So according to your opportunity and how long you can afford to practice meditation. So meditation is to constantly watch your mind and be thinking good thoughts. That's the main thing about meditation. And this is why if we, in my book I have put 2 important sutras about meditation. One is Dveda Vitakka Sutra. Dveda Vitakka Sutra is about the 2 kinds of thoughts. Dva means double or two thoughts. Dveda Vitakka means Vitakka refers to the thinking, the thoughts. So Dveda Vitakka Sutra is talking about good thoughts and bad thoughts, and how to be practicing the good thoughts and avoiding bad thoughts. That's the main thing there. And the other sutra about Vitakka Santana Sutra is about how to gain control over the thoughts. That means if you want to get rid of bad thoughts, how it can be done. And I think the Buddha gives 5 steps in doing that. So, these are helpful in practicing the meditation in the proper way. Yeah?
Microphone, use microphone.
Bhante, regarding these postures for meditation, must it be always seated? That's number one.
Always what?
Seated. No. Number 2, even if you sit down, do you need to sit in a cross-legged position as though it must be something properly done? Number 2. And number 3, where to place your hands. I notice some people are very serious about their fingers position, their hand position, like mudras. So I just want to clarify, or is it just seated and be comfortable? Rather than...
Well, the most important thing to understand is that meditation is not something that you do with your body. Meditation is something that you do with your mind. That's the first thing to understand. And the other thing is, one very important thing about this meditation is that if you keep your back straight, whether you are standing or whether you are sitting or even when you are lying down, to keep your back straight. That is very important because it brings all the parts of the body in the proper position so that the mind can be kept in the proper way when the body is in that erect position. So when you sit, the important thing is to sit with your back straight. That's the important thing. And so that how you have your legs, whether you fold your legs or whether you straighten your legs, or all that is just in order to keep your back straight. So if you can keep your back straight, now during the time of the Buddha, and especially people in India, they always sat on the floor. In India, they didn't have these chairs to sit on. These chairs really came after the Westerners or the British came. Otherwise, the Indian people were mainly sitting on the floor. And so, this is why that cross-legged position. But nowadays, because people are more used to sitting on chairs, I think sitting on the chair and somehow keeping your leg in a proper position is the best thing. The main thing is to keep your back straight. That is the important thing there. But there is one important thing that I noticed when in my own practice in meditation was that if you sit on the floor with that cross-legged, what is called the lotus position or even the half lotus position, you can remain in that position for a long period without trouble, but you have to get used to it. Only if you are used to it, that benefit is there. So that can be helpful, but still you can sit on a chair and do it. That is the important thing. The main thing is keeping the mind purified, not the body. The body will become purified when the mind is purified. And you don't have to be sitting all the time. The important thing is you can be meditating while standing or walking or sitting or lying down. But better to avoid lying down because you might go to sleep. That is the thing.
Venerable sir, I have one question. What if, let's say, when we meditate, then suddenly we have a leg pain?
Leg pain?
Yes, how to overcome that? Like the
No. If you find your legs are paining when you are sitting, then the only thing, best thing is to start walking. You get up and walk. You don't try to hold on to the pain and then keep on fighting with the pain. That is not the real thing to do.
Because I saw some who wrote in the article, they say when there's a pain, then you send metta to the leg, metta to the pain.
I know, yeah. There are some people who say that, but I think that is unnecessary thing. But when your mind is properly disciplined and purified, those problems disappear. Because even pains can disappear when you learn to relax your body. When the body is properly relaxed, the pain disappears. So even when it is uncomfortable, you begin to relax your body, then the discomfort disappears. So all that can be done by learning to purify the mind. Now there was a doctor who was living in Australia. It was a European doctor, and he wrote a book called Relief Without Drugs. That was the title of that book. Now he was a psychologist, and he went to India and studied with the yogis and tried all kinds of things, and he learned many things. And he wrote about this book about how to relieve your pains without using these painkillers and drugs. by just learning to relax the body. And he learned these things properly for a long time in India, and now he wants to test his abilities, and he went to get a tooth extracted by a dentist. So he went to the dentist and said, "Can you please extract my tooth, but without using any analgesics?" So the doctor refused to do that. So he came back and he found a friend who was a doctor, who was a dentist also. And he went and explained to him that he wanted to try an experiment and try to see whether he can do it without using the anesthesia. So he said, okay. And he said, now I lie down and I relax. When I relax you, I will tell you I am relaxed. Then you can start your operation. So he said, okay, and now I am ready. So the doctor did the operation. And it was finished. And asked her, did you feel that? He said, well, I just felt something that you are doing, but not a pain. I felt it. So the doctor said, I not only pulled out your tooth, I had to go and drill into your bone also and do many things. It's very wonderful that you are able to bear up all that. So in other words, he was able to overcome the pain. That's the main thing there. So that means it is possible to get rid of all these discomforts if you learn to relax your body properly. That's the main thing.
Bhante, back to the question on pain. So usually when we sit for too long cross-legged, when we sit for too long cross-legged, we feel the pain. As Bhante has explained, it is most probably due to the fact that we are not very relaxed. Granted, being just ordinary meditators, we can't get ourselves relaxed 100%. Now, in some of the instructions I read, they say, watch the pain, watch the pain. But if you watch the pain, it becomes even worse sometimes. And when it becomes worse, your mind becomes agitated. So what do you suggest, Bhante? What I normally do, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, I get up, I walk. Or I change my position. So what can you suggest, Bhante, when you have the pain? Instead of watching the pain, is there an alternate method to counter that?
Well, the thing is this, that what I suggest is whenever you get the pain, you should get up and walk. Not to be just trying to fight with the pain. But if you learn relaxation properly, when the pain is there, what you have to do is not to just watch the pain, but to learn to relax the body. Just relax the body, and as you begin to relax the body, the pain automatically, gradually subsides and disappears. that it is possible to do it. So any
This one.
any other
I
questions?
have. Let's say while we meditate, then suddenly some smell.
What?
Smell. Some smell. Smell. Fragrance, something smell.
Smell?
Yes. Like
When you do what?
let's say we meditate, then suddenly someone cook some certain thing, certain fragrance come, suddenly this fragrance will attack our attention. How we overcome that? Then
No, that pain and the smell is the same thing, because these are
senses.
it is again the sense. Pain, what we call pain, is a physical thing.
Yeah.
When we call smell is the same sort of thing, only difference is it is coming from the nose and not just the body.
So how to overcome that?
Huh?
How to overcome that?
Get away from that place is one way, and the other thing is to relax. For that also you can relax. Those are the ways. Huh?
So become more and then think of the food. And
No, best thing is to get away from that place.
hindrances.
Huh?
Yeah.
Bhante,
Yeah.
in many of the sutras, Buddha taught us to begin the meditation by sitting down, crossing the leg, and putting the back straight. But there was no mention whatsoever about closing the eyes. So how do we interpret that understanding? Should we close our eyes, or can we meditate with our eyes open? What should we do with the eyes if we are not going to close it?
Well, the main thing is to understand that if we close the eyes, we are not disturbed by any sights that we might see. So the closing the eyes can be helpful, because we are not disturbed by something that we see. So that is also an important thing. But the time comes when you are more advanced in your meditation, you can even keep your eyes closed and you won't get disturbed. That's what it is. Yeah, in the same way, sounds coming to the ears, the sounds can be disturbing. But once you have meditated and progressed to a certain level, even when there are many sounds going on around, you can remain calm without being disturbed. Yeah. Huh?
Open your eyes without being disturbed, not closed.
What?
Your eyes are open,
Yeah.
not closed.
What?
You won't be disturbed.
Huh? I didn't understand what you're trying to say.
Oh, Bhante, just now you said you close your eyes and you won't be disturbed.
Yeah.
But actually what you meant is actually when you come to a certain level, you can open your eyes and nothing in front of you will disturb your meditation. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
I have another one, advanced one. Let's say that we practice for a while, then how do we know that we are in the certain level for ourselves?
What?
When we practice for a while, how do you know where we are in which level?
What level?
That just now better four level, this one.
Oh,
yeah.
the jhanas you are thinking.
How do we know for our own self?
No, the only thing is, what you have to understand is, that there are these 5 hindrances.
Oh.
What is that? Kamachanda, Vyapad, Teenamidda, Uddacha, Kucha, Vichikiccha. First you have to understand these things. And you should be able to recognize these things when they are in your mind. You should be able to say, here is Kamachanda, this is Vyapad, this is Teenamidda, Uddacha, Vichikiccha. So once you recognize those things, and you also learn how to get rid of them. What is the kind of meditation you should do to get rid of these things? So when you are able to do that, then you know whenever there is any of these hindrances, you know there is a hindrance. And when the hindrances are absent, you know it is absent. And whenever the hindrances are absent, when all the hindrances disappear, you get the 5 jnanangas, vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha, ekaggata. Again you have to know the meaning of vitakka, vichara, priti, sukha and ekaggata. So, if you have to understand the meaning of vitakka and vichara. Now today most books, they go by the explanation of Buddha Thero, who wrote about Visuddhimagga. They, from my point of view, they are making a mistake. They think vitakka vichara means bringing the attention to the object and thinking about the object. Vitakka means bringing the attention to the object, vichara means thinking about the object. How I understand it is very different. Vichara is a word that we have even in our Sinhalese language. Vichara. Vichara is to question. What is this? Is vicharana. And vitakka is coming from the word takka. Takka is arguing or maybe reasoning. So vitakka is forming a concept by thinking. Vichara is to question. So in other words, if I say, what is this? This is a cup. What is this? Is vichara. This is a cup, is vitakka. That is how I see it. You are asking a question and answering the question. What is this? This is a microphone. That is, every time we look at an object, we ask the question, what is this? And we answer. That kind of thinking is what I call conceptual thinking. Formation of concepts. So, vitakka vichara is conceptual thinking. But there are 2 kinds of conceptual thinking. That is why we have the Dveda Vitakka Sutra. The Buddha speaks of 2 kinds of vitakka. One is bad vitakka and the other is good vitakka. Bad vitakka is all the emotional vitakkas. Thinking of the beauty of things or ugliness of things or badness of things. Now these are vitakkas which are emotional. So the good vitakkas are calming vitakkas that don't disturb the mind. So when we speak of vitakka vichara, we are talking about conceptual thinking which is pure thoughts, good thoughts. Thinking about the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, or thinking when you are doing breathing meditation, this is breathing in, this is breathing out. Those are vitakkas, but they are not emotional vitakkas, not bad vitakkas. So, in this dhyanangas, vitakka vichara refers to good vitakkas, not the bad vitakkas. And priti. Now, there in the sutras again, the Buddha says, when you are purifying the mind, when the mind is pure, priti arises. And priti, there the Buddha uses the word mano. Piti manassa. That means the priti is experienced by the mano and not by the chitta. I told you there are two things, mano and chitta. So mano is the thinking part, the thinking, reasoning part, and chitta is the emotional part. So the real priti is not in the emotional part, but in the mano part. This is very important to understand that. Piti manassa. So, here the Buddha says, Piti manassa kayam passambati. When the mano is experiencing priti, the body relaxes. Passadi means relaxation. The body relaxes. When the mind is experiencing priti, the body relaxes. So that priti really means the mind is not thinking, is tranquil state of the mind. When the mind is tranquil, the body relaxes. So, priti manasa kayam passambati. Then he says, passadda kayo sukhang vedyati. That means when the body is relaxed, the body feels comfortable. Now you see the word sukha refers to physical comfort, and priti refers to mental comfort. So priti refers to mental comfort and sukha refers to physical comfort. Priti, sukha. And the other one is ekaggata. Now the Buddha says, sukhino chittang samadhyati. Sukhino chittang samadhyati. When the body is comfortable, the chitta becomes samadhi. Now that is also very important. The priti, when he is speaking about the priti, the Buddha used the word mano. Piti, manas. Here, chittang samadhiti. So the samadhi comes onto the chitta. So chitta is that emotional thing. The emotions calm down. That calmness of the emotional state is the samadhi. So when we speak of samadhi, we are talking about the chitta being undisturbed. So the best thing is to say the stillness of the mind. The stillness. So we have different words here in English to use, like tranquility of mind, stillness of mind, serenity of mind. These are words that we can use to use for these various conditions. But the most important thing is to understand is when the mind is calmed or stilled in this way, the stillness of the chitta, chitta ekaggata. There ekaggata means, eka means one, and agga means end. Now we have this word even in Sinhalese, agga means the end. So, one end. This is a very important thing, because earlier we were talking about the mind divided into two, going in two different directions. Now here the mind is one end. That is really the unification of the mind. Ekaggata really is not just one-pointed in the concentrating mind. Ekaggata is unification, unified mind. The mind that is unified. Unity in the mind. Because now the mind is free of emotions. So when the mind is free of emotions, there is no division in the mind. That is why it is unity.
Bhante, is it unity between the mano and the chitta?
That's right. Mind, mano and the chitta are united. So chitta is not going in another direction.
So when they are in different direction, that is vichikicha. When they are in different direction, that is
it is vichikicha. That's right. So the chitta ekaggata is really the opposite of vichikicha. Yeah. So, then the Buddha also says, samahite chitte dhammang phatu bhavo. Samahite chitte Dhammang Patu Bhava. That means the Dhamma arises. That means when the chitta is unified in this way, Dhamma arises in the chitta. That is very important to understand that. So what is the meaning of Dhamma arising? The easiest way is to understand that the Buddha puts it in another place, the same thing. Samahite chitte yatham bhutang bhajanati. Yatha bhutang bhajanati. Samahite chitte yatha bhutang bhajanati. What is the meaning of yatha bhutam pajanati? Now, many people translate that yatha bhutam as seeing things as they are. But yatha bhuta is not seeing things as they are. Yatha bhuta means seeing how things come to be. Yatha bhuta. Bhuta means coming into being. Yatha bhuta means whatever way it comes into being, he sees. In other words, seeing how things come to be. So, in other words, you are beginning to understand Yatha bhutam bhajanati is the paticca samuppada. So seeing the paticca samuppada is seeing the Dhamma. Seeing the Dhamma is to see the paticca samuppada. Huh?
I have another question.
Answer, huh? Yeah.
Can you explain distinction between mindfulness and awareness?
Mindfulness and?
Awareness.
Huh?
Awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah, how does? Because they are very
the
close.
only way to answer that is to speak in English. What is the meaning of the English word mindfulness? And what is the meaning of the English word awareness?
Yeah.
You see, mindfulness has a meaning different from awareness. Awareness means you are aware of something. Mindful is an effort to be careful not to do the wrong thing and to be doing the right thing. That is the meaning of mindfulness. You are mindful about not going in the wrong direction. That way. Huh? But the important thing is that people use the word mindfulness to refer to satipatthana.
Yeah.
So, I won't call satipatthana mindfulness, because the word satipatthana means sati upatthana. Sati upatthana. Sati means attention. Upatthana, upa means inside, thana means to place. To place the attention inside. That is the meaning of satipatthana. Now this has been elaborated further by the Buddha when he says, in the Anapanasati Sutra, there says, the Buddha sits with the back straight, ujjung kayang panidaya, parimukang sating upattapetva. This is the important thing there. Parimukang sating upattapetva. That The Atuvacharya of that, mainly Buddha Ghosa, I suppose, explains it in the wrong way. And that is that Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ is explained as Pari means around, like Parisare. Pari means around. Mukha, he says, is the mouth. So Parimukhaṃ means around the mouth. And Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ means Sati is attention. So placing the attention around the mouth. That is how they translate that. Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ. And then he says, around the mouth means the upper lip. Then he says, upper lip means the nose tip. And therefore he says, Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ means paying attention to the nose tip. And then again, see, nose tip means the breath touching the nose, coming in and going out. See how they distorted the whole thing. That is not the meaning of Parimukhaṃ Satiṃ, Upattapetva. The Upattapetva again says Upadavana, that is again placing. But there, what I understand is, Parimukhaṃ, Mukha there means not the mouth. Now we have other words like Pramukha, Abhimukha. Now Abhimukha means looking face to face. Now you are looking at my face and I look at your face, that is Abhimukha. Pramukha means if you have a row of people, the first man is in the Pramukha sthana. Pramukha means the first face there. So, the mukha really here means face. And now when you say parimukha, pari means around. Now around doesn't mean like this. Around means whatever is outside here, like the parisare, around. So parimukhaṃ means what is around the face. Around the face means we have 5 senses, no? All the 5 senses are in the face. The eyes in the face, nose in the face, tongue in the face, everything. And so parimukhaṃ means whatever is around means whatever I see, what I hear, what I smell, what I taste, what I touch, all that is around. And in other words, parimukhaṃ satiṃ means our attention is always normally focused on what we see or what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. That is where our attention goes automatically. So parimukhaṃ satiṃ, the attention that is focused on these various things, you bring it inwards. Upattapetva. Upa means inside, tapetva means to place. So in other words, what this means is you withdraw your attention from these external surroundings and bring it in. And that is how you start the ānāpāna-sati. Ānāpāna-sati is to focus your attention within, and that is the satipatthāna. Sati upatthāna, the attention is focused within. So the right word in English is introspection, not mindfulness. Mindfulness is not the proper word. introspection. Huh?
Well, I enlightened. Do you all have any others wanted to ask?
Now we are getting close to 11 o'clock.
Yes, yes.
So maybe if there are no other questions, we can stop here.
Yeah.